Black Friday is upon us, which means your Amazon cart is probably full of lenses or drones or sliders or all bunches of fancy filmmaking and photography toys. But before you do that, I want to share with you 5 things that I know you will actually use if you buy them for filmmaking and photography. So without further ado, let's get this video started and talk about those 5 things so you don't waste money. Software is the first thing that I can guarantee you that you will use every single day as a photographer or filmmaker. And the reason why I say software over everything else is because you need some way to process the photo and video that comes from your camera. Now, I'm assuming that you have a camera, but if you don't, then maybe that should be number 1. But if you have a camera and you need to process those photos and videos that you take, software is the first thing you should look at. But what if software isn't on sale? That doesn't matter, because let's say hypothetically you're thinking about spending money anyways on something for filmmaking and photography, but you don't have a way to process it. So if you don't have a way to process those photo and videos, buying new tools to take photos and videos isn't really gonna help much if you can't actually go through them, edit them, do all the fancy things. Software recommendations I have will be the Adobe Suite, because I use that. You can obviously invest into Final Cut if you are a Mac user, or there are some free options like DaVinci Resolve. As far as photo editing, I'm not quite sure about what photo editing software that is free, but Lightroom and Photoshop comes in a package from Adobe for $10 a month, and that might not be on sale, but if you can't process your photos and videos anyways, then what's the point of having a camera? What can you invest in as far as education this Black Friday? Online courses. Another thing is books. I highly recommend books. There is one book that has been a game changer in the way I take photos. The Photography Bible by Mr. Michael Freeman has dramatically improved the way I look at photos and I take photos. It taught me all about composition, how to expose, what is shutter, aperture, and ISO on your camera. Just this book alone has skyrocketed my skills. It's only $20. If you're gonna invest in anything as far as education, books and courses are gonna get you there from a technical side. Now, from a creative side, what are things that you could invest in? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you should invest in watching movies or looking at more art, and watch them from a lens of, I want to learn how to create this content. And by investing time into your education as a filmmaker or photographer, you will ultimately create a better end product. The third thing on the list that you will use every day as a filmmaker is music and sound design. I'm sorry, photographers, for not including you in this part, because your medium does not include music and sound design, but as a filmmaker, most content has some music to some degree, and same thing with sound design. Music creates emotion. It incites emotion into a visual piece. Sound design creates impact, it creates emphasis. And outside of the visuals, when you are watching any sort of movie, social media content, or something, having music and sound design will help the human who's watching it feel more present and involved, as if they're actually there, and they'll feel more emotion towards it. So what are things that you can invest in as far as music or sound design? The first one is Epidemic Sound. I am, again, not sponsored by them, but I use them every day for my own content. On top of that, I also subscribe to Artlist for even more music, and Audio Blocks. And with those 3 platforms, I have a wide library of music and sound effects that I can use to help create impact in my film and video. Now, here's a quick little example of a video without sound. I bet you couldn't even watch 5 seconds of that before having to skip ahead, so I only played a small portion of it. Now here it is with music. And now here's that same piece with music and sound design. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that piece just feels infinitely better when you have the visuals, the music, and the sound design paired to it. The fourth item on this list of things that you should buy for Black Friday is experiences. And what I mean by experiences is, if you feel like your content isn't as good as it could be, think about what you're photographing and what you're filming. If you realize, wait a second, I'm just filming stuff in my town, but I really want to make travel films, then invest in travel packages, go on a road trip, do something that is reflective of what you actually want to film and what you want to create. If you enjoy watching product videos and making product videos, then maybe go to an antique store and buy some product. So what can you buy this Black Friday for creating experiences? Travel packages. Just go and look up travel packages. Go somewhere cool. Go on a road trip. I can guarantee you that some of the best photos and video that I've taken has been on my Yosemite trip and my Havasu Pie trip and trips to Joshua Tree over just random stuff that I've taken in my house. And that's not to say that you can't take great photos locally, but sometimes going to really fun, exciting places that people enjoy will ultimately create better content overall. So invest in experiences before buying that like $3,000 lens. The fifth thing that you should invest in this Black Friday is time. And wait, how do I invest in time? You could be spending a lot of money this Black Friday on some fancy tools and gear and whatever else. What if you saved that money and then you use that money in the future to give yourself more time to do the art form that you want to do? So maybe you save a little money in the bank and then you take a couple days off from work, and then you have that money that you saved, and then you can just allocate that time towards either making a film, editing, or going on a road trip like we talked on number 4, or doing something in which you can actually allocate more time towards your craft, because when you actually take time to practice, you'll get better. And when you get better, then you'll create better content overall. And realistically, that's the goal behind our filmmaking and photography. We just want to create cool things. But if you don't have the time to create cool things, then you can't do that. So the last thing, like I said, you could invest more time into your content this Black Friday. And the way you do that is actually saving some money now, so then you can spend more time in the future. All right, so the recap is: number 1, software. If you don't have software to process your photo and video, you're not gonna be able to post any content. 2 is knowledge. If you know how to use your tools better, either the software or video, you'll actually create content. And as a filmmaker or photographer, you will use that software every day, in the same way that as a filmmaker or photographer, you'll use your camera every day. Think about the bare essentials that you need. The 3rd is sound design. Sorry, photographers, but this is one thing that is crucial to video, and I can guarantee you that you will use good music and good sound over fancy transitions, and it will create so much more impact to your content. You can get sound from either Epidemic Sound, Artlist, or Audio Blocks. I'm not sponsored by any of those, but it's one of those things that I use every day. Number 4 was experiences. Go on a road trip, spend some money on a travel package, go somewhere cool, and take some amazing photos and videos there, because when you do that, you'll be like, oh my god, look at all these amazing photos and videos I took in this really cool place. And you have those memories, and you'll remember that for a lifetime, versus that lens that you bought and then just stuffed in the closet because you used it once. And then that last thing, time. If you save some money now this Black Friday, you can use that money to effectively have more time in the future for your art form, whether it be photo or video. If you save some money, then you can not have to work as hard in the future, and you can really spend that time creating something cool. So that's it. Those are my 5 things that I know you will actually use on Black Friday. And if you've been on this channel for at least a minute, you'll know that I hate blanket broad statements, but a lot of these things will help create better content, because it either will create impact or you'll have it forever because it's up here. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you want any recommendation of anything that you should buy that is like an actual physical thing, buy a microphone. Microphones will dramatically improve your filmmaking. And I guess for photography, lenses. Buy a photography lens, a good lens that of what you want to shoot, and buy a microphone. Those are like, if you want a physical thing that you should buy those things this Black Friday. That's besides the point. We have 1 new subscriber. My phone is over there. 1 second. All right, our new subscriber is Allah Hussein, and I don't get a profile picture, but hey man, I really appreciate you subscribing. I enjoy having another person that's a part of the community, so thank you so much. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and like take your car and just like slam into that like button, because it helps get the word out there. So thank you, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Bye. Happy Thanksgiving, or happy Friday whenever you're watching this, or happy Black Friday, or